Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 77. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 YouTube videos a week and you stream every single night. How? Could you possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. Last week, Games Workshop revealed tons of stuff at the Nova Open, and I need to catch up. Just to frustrate people, let's start with the least interesting to most interesting, even though it'll obviously be specific to individual people, but King Broad will crush the mortal realms, a new giant. And it looks great, everything about it is good. The one thing that is a little frustrating is this is an upgrade kit to the current big, humongous giant. I think it would have been great to get a brand spanking new giant. But hopefully, the old giant kit is kind of famous for being unbelievably expensive, but if you're a little clever and creative, you can actually make 2 big humongous giants out of the one box. So hopefully this is just gonna be a situation where, you get either it'll probably be sold in its own separate box, kind of like how Games Workshop, I think in 2016, they came out with the Imperial Knights, and there was one model that came with a couple of options, and then over the course of a few years, they released more Knight boxes with more Knight options, and then eventually they just shoved it all into one box, and now that's the one Knight model that you can buy. So right now, this will probably be sold as its own separate giant box, but you'll be able to build those other giants out of this. And maybe if you have like a 3D printer or a giant blob of green stuff, you can actually get 2 big humongous giants. But I really like this model. I like that he's got giant tusks nailed to his shoulders. Like, he doesn't have like leather armor and then the tusks are riveted to it. They are nails shooting directly into his body, which is kind of fun. It sort of makes sense. I mean, if something wants to like grapple with this guy, those tusks are gonna be in the way. And I really like the birch tree that his hammer is made out of. It's a really, really nice detail to have the bark peeling away. It really, really looks nice. Some painters are gonna have an amazing, amazing time with this model. Huge models in general are a really, really nice canvas to work on, and the giants are really something special. I also love armies that are very, very different. Like, at the end of the day, Skaven, Seraphon, are they that different? I mean, you both got your troops and your ranged troops, and you got your cavalry and your heroes who are giving buffs and dueling with other heroes. It's a little bit the same. It is not the same if your opponent has 4 models on the field and they're both humongous giants. Next up, we got the Blood Pelt Hunters, which are for the ogres. And I think the ogres are actually one of the best kept secrets for Age of Sigmar. I really like them. I never really see them out in the wild. I don't really hear people talking about them that much. And they're actually, along with the Seraphon, they're one of the races that actually survived the end times of Warhammer and made the transition to Age of Sigmar. They're really, really good models, and I think they were in the process of transitioning to being something a little bit more unique. They're not just ogres. They are like Ice Age ogres. A lot of their mounts and their animals look like Ice Age animals, and I actually think they could lean into that a lot more. Like, Ice Age animals are really, really weird looking, and I think like the armored Ice Age creature, it's like a giant armadillo. Some of these fat guys riding those things would be amazing. But talking about the model that the Games Workshop actually made, I like this model a lot. I think it's great. I love that he's got all of the creatures. It's so cool that he has a dragon head that is his quiver full of arrows. It's kind of, I feel like it's what ogres would do. They're like, hey, this head is kind of shaped like a thing. Let me turn it into a thing. His crossbow looks fantastic. I love that to give himself antlers, he like just duct taped over his head. Like, it's very silly, but it feels really right for the ogres. Like, he's like, I need horns, and he doesn't, he's not a giant. He can't just nail stuff into his own head. And so he just one day he just sat there with a roll of rope and he just tied it up. And that's the way he will remain. But yeah, this model is phenomenal. I love the basing that they did for it. I want Ice Age ogres. That's pretty much what they are. There's a few tiny little stragglers that aren't Ice Age-y. But yeah, I hope that they get a revamp. Probably similar, along the same lines as the Seraphon. probably after the Seraphon, because I think the Seraphon are a little bit more popular. I mean, they're just dinosaurs and everybody loves dinosaurs. But then we would have two like prehistoric armies. We would have the dinosaurs and the Ice Age ogres. And that would be so cool. Everything for Age of Sigmar is just so cool. I need to play more Age of Sigmar. After that, we got some Underworlds guys, and Underworld's fine. Everything for Underworld looks gorgeous. I don't play it. We got the Gore Chosen of Dorm. The Gore Chosen of Dorm. I love the names. I love the name sometimes. This guy's great. I really like him. I like that he's wearing the bottom half of armor, and then the top half is all naked, and then he's got a really, really fun hat. Probably like top 10 best hats. It looks like it's made out of like solid metal, which would mean that it's unbelievably heavy. So weird little side story, but I took a lot of welding classes in college. I actually got all my certifications. And one of the kids there, I guess we were all adults. One of the other young adults there, sounds worse. One of the other guys there, he was really into Naruto. And if anybody knows anything about Naruto, all of the ninjas wear these headbands with like a metal plate. And he took a piece of 3/8 steel, carved the symbol into it, and said that he was going to take it home and glue it to like a bandana. We were all like, that thing weighs like 3 pounds. Do you think that that's actually going to sit on your head and be at all usable? But that's what came to my mind when I saw this guy's unbelievably dumb helmet. But it works. It's a fantasy setting. Anything goes. And I like big dumb hats. I think it's really, really cool. It kind of looks like it's, they don't look like he's integrated horns into it. It almost looks like the jaws of some creature. Like some weird dune worm had a bunch of weird flower petal jaws, and he's taken 4 of them and he's integrated them into his costume. I really like the look of it. This model looks fantastic. I don't play Underworlds, so it's neat. It's really cool. Going back to Age of Sigmar, I'm really just bouncing around. If going in descending order of interest to me, I think the Underworld stuff, the Underpants stuff would have been at the top of the list, but bringing Rue into the realms with the Slaves to Darkness launch set. So this is going to be probably one of those around $200 boxes, which is a little annoying. I don't remember if Slaves to Darkness actually have a Combat Patrol yet, or the Age of Sigmar equivalent of a Combat Patrol. But the new models look fantastic. Obviously, they've shown off the Demon Prince already. Love the new Demon Prince. I love everything about it. It's awesome. But the new Slaves to Darkness chosen guys are really, really nice. I think Games Workshop is it took them 20 years, but they have perfected the normal suit of armor with an incredible amount of trim detail. Because these guys actually look like they would paint up really, really well. And I know what you're thinking when you guys look at these, it looks like it's gonna be a giant pain in the butt, and it will be if you paint them exactly how Games Workshop has painted them. But if you prime them black and then just dry brush them silver, that's gonna get you 90% of the way there. Then maybe just a little bit of contrast paint and washes to make the under armor a different color than the trim, and they're gonna look real nice. I think part of what makes them look like they're gonna paint up really, really well is that they're very proud. And sometimes when those details are really, really short, they don't take dry brushing very well, and they don't really take washes very well because the paint tends to either get on top of or kind of, it doesn't give you that nice harsh line right where the two pieces meet. But these pieces of trim look really, really proud, and I think that is gonna mean that they're gonna paint really, really nicely. So you get some crazy nice, crazy detailed models that actually don't take an unbelievably long time to paint. I think also the paint job on these just ended up a little bit better than usual. The gold and the black look really good together, and the black is a very bright gray, really. And I think that helps, because sometimes when you've got a really, really deep, dark black and then a bright gold trim, it makes it look a little toyish. Whereas these guys looks like real fantasy armor. I really, really like these guys. It also comes with the Ogroids. The Ogroids, they're getting old. Their muscles don't make any sense whatsoever, but I actually don't mind them. I think they look really, really good. You can totally see the big old seam on their big mohawks. Is it a mohawk if it's back hair? What's a back hair mohawk? But I can see instantly where the two plastic pieces meet. which is a little funny. A little green stuff would help that a lot, or just not painting it like Games Workshop. If you dry brush that, you wouldn't see it. But since Games Workshop carefully highlighted and picked out every single hair, you can really see the black void that exists between the pieces. Yeah, those models are getting a little old, and I believe they're actually sold in sets of 6, and you're only getting 3 in this box. So they actually cut, I mean, they didn't cut the sprue, obviously. There's probably three identical sets of guys in the proper box, and then they're just parceling out a trio of them in this box. For $200, some Ogroids, some Duders, and Demon Prince. I don't know, it's a little light. I mean, I think these are all expensive kits, but it feels a little light. I don't know if I collect the Slaves of Darkness, I don't know if I would be rushing out to pick this one up. Moving on finally to the good stuff, Warhammer 40,000. Let's just take the briefest of looks at the Khorne Berserkers, because they already showed a model off. And once again, Games Workshop in classic Games Workshop fashion, they showed off the most normalist guy. I mean, they picked the only one that didn't really have any crazy chaos thing going on, which I think all of the other ones look a little bit more impressive and imposing. And all the other helmets look a little bit more interesting. But yeah, these guys look great. I love the bare-armed guys. Some of them do have gloves, which is something I asked for when they showed off the one. Yeah, all the rest of the models look great. I think these will look amazing, all painted up, look together, and then dipped in Blood for the Blood God. I think that'll be literally the icing on the cake. Moving on to the Leagues of Votann. The Leagues of Votann. They're not the squats. Don't say squats. They're the Leagues of Votann. And Games Workshop just decided to show off everything else and the box coming out. The biggest, most interesting unit is probably the Hecaton Land Fortress, which I really like how it looks. But the wheels are teeny tiny. That's the only flaw. I love everything about it, but the wheels look really piddly. I do think, especially they show off a little further on in the article, a group shot, a glamour shot of all of the units together. I think these wheels are bigger than the Moon Buggy, but they should have been at least probably 50% bigger. I'm sure somebody out there, it's probably already available, even though the models aren't available yet. You can, the STLs to replace those wheels with something a little girthier, or maybe treads. Treads would be lovely. But yeah, I really like this model. It's really cool. They also showed off another head swap for the commander. It's a perfectly fine head. He looks a little bit like the Thing from Fantastic Four, but it's fine. Then the INR Champion. And I'm not a big fan of the Leagues of Votann Terminator suits. I don't even remember what they're called. This guy, he looks good for that, but I don't know. To me, he just doesn't look that great. His arms are like too big. His weapons are too big. And I know someone out there is like, the weapons can't be too big. You're critiquing the best thing about the model. And I hear you, but it's not cooking my biscuits. What is cooking my biscuits, though, is the Brookhyre Iron Master. This guy is awesome. I love his little floaty friends. I love just the blank, faceless stare of the Hearthkin robots. I really like them. These guys are great. I love that they have integrated them into the base, and so they don't have ugly, horrible flying stems with big old bubbles in them. These guys are phenomenal. And speaking of big, humongous bubbles in flying stands, the Grimner is Gandalf the Grey. This guy is just a space dwarf. Like literally, he is not sci-fied even a little bit. He doesn't have a cog or a gear or a metal plate anywhere on him. And that's fine. I like how he looks a lot. And I do like his little helper friends. I sort of see why these guys didn't have any integration into the base. I guess they could maybe have piles of rocks like he has. I would hide a paperclip or something instead of using those flying stands. The Chthonian Berserk Mole Grenade Launcher. I like this model. I like the idea of this model. I really like heavy weapon teams for the Imperial Guard, but it seems like, number one, it's a Chthonian Berserker, which is like, they're running and stabbing and fighting and naked. Why would they be sitting around with a grenade launcher? I feel like that would be normal squat stuff. It's also weird that his gun is so little. Like, it doesn't feel like there needs to be two guys on a big 60mm base to facilitate firing the occasional grenade. The models look good though, and it's neat. It's gonna be hard to have a lot of doubles of this. I wonder what kind of options are gonna come in the box to make them look different. And that's everything. That's everything for the squats. I like it. I like the squats. I don't know if I'll be starting a squat army, but I totally see the appeal. And I think the squats are actually going to appeal to a lot of people who don't like the standard aesthetic of 40K, who like something a little bit more modern and spacey, as opposed to something very fantasy. They look really, really good. And the army box is fine. It's two squads of regular Hearthkin Warriors, the Trikes, the leader, and the fighter leader guy. And the Trikes, the fighter leader, and the normal leader, love it. 2 sets of Hearthkin Warriors. I mean, you'll need 2 sets for your army one day eventually. So you're gonna use those models, but I feel like I would have liked to have one more unique unit. Just drop one of those, boxes of boys and put in something a little bit more interesting. Maybe the Chthonian Berserkers, that would have been awesome. As it is, I think it's fine, but I would be tempted to wait until the Comet Patrol comes out, because just like the Black Templar army box kind of stunk, and then the Star Collecting was awesome. So I would definitely be tempted to wait on the Leagues of Votann. But all in all, they're really cool. It's a really interesting addition to 40K. And speaking of interesting additions to 40K, Forge World made a new Horus model. And at first I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, Horus is like the most important guy, so it makes sense for him to get a new model, or another model, because I'm sure they're not going to stop selling the old Horus because it's iconic and classic and perfect, essentially. But in the article, they say that they are going to be doing all of the Primarchs. Rendered in highly detailed resin, this model is the first of a new character series from Forge World representing each of the Primarchs at the height of the heresy, whether they're fully under the sway of chaos or rallying to defend the Imperium in its darkest hour. A little weird. It took Forge World 12 years to make all 18 Primarchs. They just finished this year with Jagatai Khan and the Lion. So it seems really weird to redo them again. For some of the Primarchs, it does make sense. Like the old Horus could have been like, very end of the Lunar Wolves, just start of the Sons of Horus. But the Horus Heresy only lasted 9 years, and not very many of the Primarchs went through a humongous change. Who's the Iron Hands guy? The Iron Hands guy, literally, he is sculpted in his last moments on Earth, dueling with another Primarch. So he's seconds away from getting his head chopped off and his story ending, because he was one of the first Primarchs to die. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with some of these Primarchs, because some of them didn't last long in the 9-year-long Horus Heresy. It'll be really cool to see some of the demon Primarchs like become fully demonized by chaos, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with a bunch of the loyalists. Some of them feel very obvious, like a Jagatai Khan on bike would be amazing and is like necessary. But yeah, some of them are really weird. Like Mortarion is already pretty gross and demony in the model that they already made. So are they going to flip that one and have a nice, clean, kind Mortarion before he was swayed to the powers of chaos? It'll be interesting. Is it going to take 12 years for them to revamp the entire character series? Are they going to remove any of the old statues and replace them with these new ones? It asks a lot of questions. It's bizarre, but I must say the new Horus is impeccable. It's really, really good, and I'm sure it'll have a price tag to match. Holy moly. I was having a wild time reading all of the articles from Warhammer Community, but there was one that caught my attention and it filled my heart with dread. It was a Kill Team article, and I love Kill Team. I'm really enjoying playing Kill Team. I've liked everything they've come out with for Kill Team. I've liked how they've handled Kill Team. And so this article got me really nervous. Veteran guardsmen show us how Kill Team tactics must change on a Space Hulk. And I was like, oh no, my worst fears have been realized. Back in Kill Team 2018, in the death throes of that edition of Kill Team, there was a Kill Team Arena, which had a flat board and doors, and it looked kind of bad. It was considered the more competitive ways to play because Kill Team 2018 was just a copy-paste of Warhammer 8th edition. And so some things worked pretty good and some things really didn't. And an arena kind of forced you into these scenarios that worked a little bit better for Kill Team. But I was really excited when Kill Team Into the Dark, Kill Team turned down for what? was shown off because it looks like it was going to be an amazing way to change how your games feel without changing anything about Kill Team. And this article's title and the general vibe of it really made me nervous that it's like, oh no. So are there going to be Kill Team Into the Dark rules for all of the kill teams and things are going to change? But upon reading the article, literally, that was my thesis statement. It's like, oh no, are there going to be new rules for everything? And if I want, it's basically going to be 2 games. It's going to be Kill Team and it's going to be, Kill Team on a Space Hulk. But as I read the article, they were just knocking down my worries one by one. They talked about the veteran guardsman sniper, who is an absolute auto-include. Get him onto a vantage point, maybe use the spotter model as well to make him even more powerful, and just have him pick off guys from afar. You can't do that on a Space Hulk, so they're like, well, maybe you swap that guy out for the Melta. The Melta is an incredibly powerful weapon, but if you're a Piddly Imperial Guard running up the board, there's not a good chance that you're going to actually get within range to insta-kill something with that Melta gun, so you don't use him. But if you're going to be playing on the Space Hulk terrain, all of a sudden, the sniper model isn't a very good include, and you should definitely take the Melta. It's like all of the rules and all of the things already exist, and just a change in terrain makes you change your tactics. And that's what I wanted, a change in tactics. It also talks about flamethrowers. Flamethrowers are going to have a slight, not a different rule, but a different rule that they can take advantage of. Just in terms of if you're in like a blob of guys, you can change your fire so that you don't, or you do hit your own guys. I really like the idea. Flamers are another thing in Kill Team that they have a 6-inch range, so they're very limited on what targets they can shoot at. Usually you always want long range because the most powerful things are the long range guns because they can pick you off at long range. But all of a sudden, if there's no such thing as long range anywhere on the board, flamethrowers become awesome, Melta guns become awesome, grenades become awesome. It talks about the Guardsman order move, which I actually do play. I do use move a lot in my Kill Team, although I lose all the time. So maybe that says something about me, but they bring up orders that you maybe don't use that often in favor of orders that boost your damage or boost your defense. Having a move characteristic that, doing an order that lets you move your guys more. Not that great if you're playing on a big open board, but maybe really good if you're playing on a tight claustrophobic maze. It's going to be great. It's going to be kind of like you have your teams, you know how they play, and you kind of have to learn a new map. It's like a video game. It's like, oh, I really like using, a sniper on this particular map in this first-person shooter, but on this map, like Rust from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, you gotta go shotgun, you go submachine gun. But on a big open capture the flag map like the estate, you got your ranged weapons, snipers, missile launchers become a little bit more usable. It's a great evolution of the game because it's not an evolution of the game. It's just more ways to play. So thank you, Games Workshop, for not changing anything, just using what you got and using some terrain to change it up. And that's just a good point for anybody playing Kill Team, even if you don't want to buy Into the Dark. Maybe one of your games, you've got you've got some books and some boxes, some really large things. Maybe the next game, just a sea of red solo cups. That is going to change how the game feels dramatically. The terrain I feel like is almost the biggest deciding factor in games of Kill Team. I have lost, I don't ever really win. I have lost a lot of games and often it feels like it's due to the terrain, especially when I get stuck in an alley and my opponent has got the high ground or they've got, some good models aimed, ready to shoot. And I just I can't, if I send my guys out, they'll just die. And so I end up hiding and I don't score objectives and then I lose on points and I lose on getting tabled and it's a bad time. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited to play on the Into the Dark Kill Team Turn Down for What terrain. And I'm excited to play with my veteran guardsmen because I enjoy veteran guardsmen, but after so many games on the normal 40k terrain, they're starting to feel a little stale, which is not really a problem because Kill Team has 30 some factions. I get to play with those 30 some factions again in a whole new way in Kill Team Turn Down for What. And speaking of turned down for what, I also painted some Conquest Last Argument of Kings minis. I had a great time painting up the Roman Legionnaire and the Orc, and I also painted a Dwarf. I painted this guy a while ago, and I am excited for Conquest. The larger scale means that they're a joy to paint. They're not crazy different or easier or harder than like a 40K mini or a Star Wars Legion mini. But that larger scale, it just gives you a little bit more room to do stuff, and it gives the models a different feel. I always just try to paint my best. I don't know if I have much of a style, but my Conquest minis just look different. The outcome of my Conquest minis is just different than the outcome I get with when I paint 40K models. And it's just really interesting. I want to paint a lot more stuff at different sizes, but for me, I have no real interest in statues or busts. It's gotta be a toy for a game. And these are a toy for a game for Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. I read some of the rule book, and I read a little bit of the lore on each faction. I still don't know what that argument is about or who the kings are, but I'm excited to learn. And speaking of excitement, you know what I'm excited for? That's right, our Patreon. Over there, we have tons of super cool STLs, both miniatures and terrain ready to populate your wargaming boards. If you sign up, we have a welcome pack that includes Dawn of War, Space Marine, Imperial Guard, and Eldar terrain. We also make one extra episode of Eons of Battle where we critique viewers' models, and we have a live Discord hangout every week where we talk to our patrons. We also have merch, link in the description. I'm super excited for the new kill team, and I'm really excited in the meantime to work on a little bit more Conquest Last Argument of Kings. Maybe I'm gonna get really into rank and flank, although I promise you, I will never get into historicals. That's probably a lie, but in my heart, historicals. Bye-bye.